This is Reuters today. Coming up, Sony's revival hopes shot down, and social media shows the Olympics as you've never seen them before. We start, though, with the European Central Bank. It may not quite be make-or-break day for Mario Draghi, as some would have it, but he certainly faces a tough test. Under intense pressure from investors, European leaders and even the United States, the ECB president is expected to deliver on his pledge last week to do whatever it takes to save the euro. Central bank sources telling Reuters, though, that bold action is probably at least 5 weeks away. Well, for a look at what he's expecting, I'm joined now by Chris Scicluna. He's Head of Economic Research at Daiwa Capital Markets. Chris, D-Day today, Draghi Day. Will he deliver, or has he overplayed his hand?
Well, I think there's certainly the risks of the latter today. And there's a great deal of uncertainty what he's actually going to announce. Certainly he raised expectations last week, but we know that there's a great deal of conservatism across that governing council. There's also very significant legal constraints on what the ECB can actually do. So today we do expect the ECB to announce some kind of expansion in its balance sheet, whether in terms of a future LTRO, possibly some modest targeted credit easing measures, or indeed a readiness to restart purchasing Spanish and Italian government debt in a temporary and limited way. But we certainly don't expect that kind of magic bullet of unlimited purchases or a banking license to be granted to the ESM that many in the markets are looking for.
Okay.
So, disappointment.
You mentioned expanding the balance sheet, and you also mentioned buying bonds, specifically Spain and Italy. Spain goes to the market later today, before the ECB. How will that auction go, do you think?
Well, we would expect that to go smoothly. Of course, if you're thinking about 10-year yields, they're down about 100 basis points from their peak a week ago. There's no reason to assume that the buying at primary auctions is going to dry up over the immediate term. So we would expect those to go smoothly. Yields pretty much close to where we see them in the secondary market at the moment.
OK, and the European Central Bank, of course, not the only central bank here in Europe meeting today. The BOE, what do you expect from there? Nothing, and more easing in the pipeline?
Yeah, absolutely. They'll feel no pressure to ease further today because, of course, they announced further gilt purchases last month, and those purchases are set to run through till November. But certainly the UK economy is in a dire state, contracted for 3 consecutive quarters, apart from certain one-off effects which are likely to provide a modest support to GDP in the present quarter. We expect Q4 to be very weak indeed, negative growth over the year as a whole, and absolutely no momentum going into next year. So certainly in November we'll be looking for further purchases of gilts, and in due course that stock of BOE gilt purchases will rise above £400 billion.
OK, Chris, thank you very much. Well, more company results out today. And the tough times continue for Sony. Profit slumping 77% at the troubled electronics brand. Reuters' John Gordon is in Hong Kong. John, Sony really is suffering something awful here, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right. You know, they've posted a operating profit of $80 million US. When you consider how big Sony is, that's certainly a massive disappointment. About a 77% fall year on year, and way below market expectations here. Not a pretty debut for Sony's new boss, Kazuo Hiroi. Weak global demand hitting Sony's bottom line. The firm losing out on market share to foreign rivals like the Koreans on the yen as well. Usually when we talk about yen problems, it's with the dollar, but here we're talking about euro-yen with demand there so weak and the euro so weak as well. Sales on the con have become a serious drag for the company now. Its shares actually rallied quite strongly today, up 2.4% ahead of the release. We were hearing that margin traders were trimming their shorts in anticipation that actually might not be so bad. I have a feeling they'll be regretting that tomorrow's session when we see the Friday opening. The stock is now down 30% for the year so far, near its lowest level in about 3 decades, Jamie.
Well, that doesn't sound too good, and the outlook isn't much better either, is it?
Yeah, you're right. It's just slashed its full-year sales forecast left and right. First, TVs. In May, it was predicting it was going to sell about 17.5 million TV sets. You can slash 2 million off the top of that right now. Sales of its handheld PS Vita and its older PSP, the kids seem to like it. Maybe not as much as they thought, though. 16 million was the old prediction. Now 12 million It's also been forced to adjust its euro-yen average forecast for the year. It was hoping for it to be about 105. Right now, as you know, it's about 96 yen to the euro. So every single yen lower cuts about $75 million of operating profit off Sony's bottom line. So European problems for Sony here.
106 yen, John, just as we speak, we're at 96 yen, so that tells its own story. Thank you very much. Well, results here in Europe include something of a good news story for a Eurozone bank today. That's BNP Paribas. Q2 profit down only 13%. That was less than expected. The bank has been beefing up its balance sheet and says it has more or less hit its Basel III capital target with 6 months to spare. Watch our interview with BNP Paribas CEO on demand now. Lufthansa also beats consensus, profit up by more than a quarter at the German flagship carrier. And Adidas also ahead of targets. It says full-year earnings will come in at the top end of its predicted range as it rides high on sponsorship of Euro 2012 and the London Olympics. Well, day 7 of the Olympics here in London today, and the final duel in the pool as Michael Phelps and Ryan Lochte slug it out in the 200 individual medley. In track cycling, host nation riders Chris Hoy and Victoria Pendleton will be hoping to draw inspiration from teammate Bradley Wiggins' gold in the time trial. Slovakian twins Pavel and Peter Hochschoner attempt to win a 4th consecutive gold in canoeing. And later on tonight, the US men's basketball team take on Nigeria. Well, that's it for now. I'll leave you with our pick of the day, which today comes from a series of London 2012 Twitter accounts sharing photos with a difference. At L2012 Poolcam shoots swimmers from below. At L2012 Matcam shoots judo from above. At L2012 Tablecam captures the table tennis from above. And at L2012B Ballcam snaps the basketball from above the board. You can follow these accounts and more on Twitter as the games continue. I'm Jamie McGeever. This is Reuters.